I hope nothing happens on this fateful day, June 28, 1914, that could send the world into a global conflict. It will be such a shame. Hi, and welcome back to the BBB channel. And on today's episode, we will be talking about a certain war that is very often referred as the Great War or the war that would end all wars. But how did this war even start in the first place? Let's dive deep into it. This is the map of Europe in 1914, and this is the last map of the same one. But the reason why there was an alliance between Germany and Austria-Hungary is especially interesting. So, let's meet our characters.
Choose your character.
You have chosen Germany. You see, Germany wasn't always really unified like this. Throughout the history, this region was divided into multiple little self-governing states. Some of you might even say, well, actually, there was a Holy Roman Empire that had united them. Yes, true, but that country was dysfunctional for a long time. Like, look at this map. You really think that person from here would understand someone from there? Obviously not. And also, all of these states had their own king who ruled over them while ignoring the real king of the Holy Roman Empire, who was, by the way, throughout the history fighting the Pope, who claimed that king's seat was his. Anyways, we are getting further away from our topic. Basically, from 1866 to 1881, Germany went through the process of unification that could be summarized in this comic. So, are you guys interested in joining me to create a big German empire? Nah, I'm good. France would definitely not let me do that. Same here. Also, I don't think that Austria would let you do that. Ha! That old jerk? There's no way that he would stop me from doing that. You'll see. Hey, Austria! Wah! Eat this! Alright, that was epic, but what about Sacre Bleu? What did you do with my Austria, you freak? Now I'm going to pay for my glorious army. What army? Okay, anyways, do you want to join me? Yes! If you want more about German unification, you can always write down in the comments what topic would you like, and also don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Now, back to the video. After German unification, Germany emerged as a strong nation but without any colonies. By the way, by that time, a good chunk of the world was colonized by the Western European nations. Even though France and Britain did eventually give some land to Germany, that was still far less for a strong empire such as Germany. Because of that, Germany decided to create an alliance with other bigger nations in Europe, without, or almost without, any colonies such as Italy and Austria-Hungary. Now we go to Italy. Italy had almost the same scenario as Germany. Throughout the history, it's been divided into different kingdoms, and they have all united around the same time as Germany. Italy, like Germany, also had a little bit of colonies, and its goal was to recreate the Roman Empire to its full extent. Keep dreaming, Italy. Unlike Germany or Italy, Austria-Hungary was an empire which existed in the past, but during the big colonization time, Austria-Hungary, or Habsburg monarchy at the time, was facing bigger threats, and during the carving in Africa, they didn't get anything. One another important key to this is that Germany was surrounded by countries which didn't really like the German unification, so that was also the reason why Germany decided to create a defensive pact called Triple Alliance with Italy and Austria-Hungary on May 20th, 1882. Because of this, there was a lot of fear between French, British and Russians. They all knew the Triple Alliance was strong, especially Germany, who actually beat France. So as an answer, France, Britain and Russia created their own alliance pact called Entente. It was established in 1907. It took some time to create it, because throughout the history, English and French had despised each other, and English and Russians were not on the best line with each other, so it was honestly a surprise when they have announced the alliance. As you might have seen, the tensions are rising in Europe. Every year something happens that makes relations between Triple Alliance and the Entente even more strained. But this war was different because there was much more innovative weapons being used, such as tanks, flamethrowers, hand grenades, etc. None of these weapons existed before. Because of that, generals and military tactics from all sides at that time had believed that this war was the war to end all wars. They only needed a strong justification to start it. Such a nice view, people are cheering, everyone's happy, what could possibly go wrong? This is WW1, a Bosnian Serb member of Black Hand community. He hates the Archduke and wants to kill him. Why is that river so drained? Well, luckily, I have a plan B. Oh, for God's sake, just let me die. Yes, this is literally what happened. It's actually one of the most funniest stories I know. Anyways, with Archduke now dead, the things in Europe could only get worse. The King of Austria-Hungary was fuming in rage because of his son's killing, and he was supposed to take his throne after the king's death, which was nearing with the reason that he was really old. In the days following the event, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Why on Serbia, you might ask? Well, Gavrilo was a Serb himself who lived in Bosnia, and the Black Hand organization was established in Serbia, so the Austria-Hungary thought the Serbian government might have had something to do with it. Because Serbia was in alliance with Russia and they were allied to France, they both quickly declared war on Austria-Hungary. Seeing this, Germany, who was allied to Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France. One thing's missing though. If you have noticed, Britain. Britain was in alliance with France, but they have refused to go to war. For now, at least. Same scenario goes to Italy. Now we travel to Germany, where we will discuss their war plan, also known as Schlieffenplan. That plan was to invade France and then quickly go to Russia to defeat them. The logic behind this plan was that Russia is big and that it would take some time until they fully mobilize and prepare for war. There was a little problem with French part though. You see, after that humiliating loss against the Prussians, they have made the reinforcements along its border with Germany called Maginot Line. Okay, not a problem. We can go around France and cross into Belgium. Surely nothing can go wrong with that. Well, everything fell apart. Belgians didn't quite like the German presence, so they fought back fiercely. To make things even worse, Britain didn't really like the fact that Germany was invading a neutral state, and now they have also declared war on them and the Austria-Hungary. You really thought things couldn't look worse for the Germans? Well, you're wrong! Russia was ready for war, and they didn't waste a minute, so they started invading Germany and Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary proved to have weaker than expected military because they just couldn't break Serbian defense lines at all, and they couldn't do anything about the Russians in the east. This prompted a decision in Berlin to take some troops from the Western Front to fight against Russia to the east, and they actually made some progress. Back to the west. Although they were fighting Belgium, Germans were advancing. They have crossed the border into France and marched so deep that they were in sight of Paris. French commander knew that something had to be done. He ordered French troops to stop retreating and fight the arriving German army. This battle is also known as Battle of Marne, which resulted in a French victory, and Germans were forced to retreat. Instead of running like the French did, Germans dug up into defensive positions. French combined with British did the same. This was the start of the trench warfare. But how did trench warfare actually work? It worked something like this. Okay, so we fire our guns and artillery towards their front to kill all of them, and hopefully we can take their side.
And for how long will that shooting last?
As long as possible.
Sacre bleu!
Anyways, after those attacks, we should expect running towards us, and then what we'll do is shoot with machine guns towards them until they give up or kill them all. Then we will get out the trenches and try to capture their territory.
Don't you think that the enemy would have people on machine guns sitting at the other side?
Nah, trust me, they would be too exhausted for that. This plan is bulletproof. Nothing can stop us now. Fire!
Let me shoot in peace for God's sake.
One important thing to mention is that conditions in trenches were horrible. It's not a surprise that millions of men died in those trenches. Also, another important thing to say is that Germany was using the forbidden weapon, gas. A very deadly gas. Imagine sitting in your trench, minding your own business, and then all of a sudden, air starts smelling funny, and then you die. That was the case for a lot of soldiers who were in trenches. Those who did survive were lucky because they had masks and not everyone had them. What is the best way to get out of a messy situation in this war? That's right, create even bigger mess. You see, there are still few other bigger nations not involved in this war. It would be a shame to spare these countries by not going to war. Oh, my bad, they just joined. Ottomans were now, for centuries, known as dying men of Europe, and it wanted to change that. So they joined Germany's side. Surely, with their poorly equipped military, they could do something about it. By the end of 1914, they tried to invade Russia, but spectacularly failed to do so. They tried to invade British Egypt in 1915, but that also failed. You really proved their strength, didn't ya? Britain tried to invade some of Turkish islands in the Aegean Sea, also known as Gallipoli Battle, but they failed to do so, so at least you finally won at something. Bulgaria was lured into war in 1915 because Germany and Austria-Hungary have promised that they will give parts of Serbia and Macedonia, which they gladly accepted for the reason that they wanted revenge for Second Balkan War. They successfully invaded Serbia from east, and Serbian army was forced to retreat to Albania, which was neutral at the time. Romania joined in 1916 after the Entente promised them the region of Transylvania. Poorly trained and barely equipped, the Romanian army made some advancements into Transylvania, but was pushed back by Germans and Austro-Hungarians and forced to sign the armistice. And now Italy. Italy didn't join the war because they thought that Germany and Austria-Hungary could do everything on their own, so they have had declared neutrality right in the beginning of the war. But then, in 1915, precisely on April 26th, there was a London secret conference where British, French and Russian ambassadors promised Italy significant gains from Austria-Hungary. The Allies have achieved their goal, and on following days, Italy had declared war on Austria-Hungary. That definitely shattered Germany's heart. But to our surprise, Austria-Hungary didn't fumble on this war and actually resisted Italy's invasion quite well, and Italy gained only a little bit of area. You might ask, this is World War, where is the rest of the world? Well, as you have seen, most of the fights occurred in Europe, but there were also battles in Africa in late 1914 and 1915. French and British soldiers have successfully invaded German colonies of Namibia, Cameroon and Ghana. Unfortunately for Allies, the last German colony wasn't an easy bite. They invaded Tanzania in spring of 1916 and gained only a little bit of land. Luckily for the Allies, Portugal also declared war on Germany, and with their help they have fully conquered Tanzania by December of 1917. In Asia, Japan was quick to jump into this war and declared war on Germany almost at the beginning of the war. Germany had also a little bit of colonies besides Africa. It had a lot of islands in the Pacific and one town in China, which Japan quickly took without any problems at all. And now, back to Europe. So, in the beginning of the video, I have mentioned the Russian invasion of Germany and Austria-Hungary, but soon it failed as Germans and Austro-Hungarians started pushing in Russian territory. But why? Why did Russians fail? Russia has more people than Germany and Austria-Hungary combined, and let's not even mention their territory. So why did it fail? Well, there were couple of reasons for that. The first one is that Russia was too big to fully control itself. Then there was slow industrialization. Basically that meant that they could not produce enough of equipment in time. Then there was too much corruption in government, and that led to poorly equipped military, which led to poor military leadership. Anyways, as I was saying before I was interrupted, Russia was too slow to industrialize because of its corrupt government. They didn't care about people who were dying of hunger. They only wanted Russia's wealth to themselves. Obviously, people did not like this at all, so they started protesting. But being a monarchy, Russia just killed the protesters, which was stupid because this led to more of them. Finally, the Tsar, or the king, finally agreed to establish a republic in early 1917, in a revolution also known as February Revolution, but it quickly fell apart, and then this led to famous October Revolution, in which Bolsheviks took power and established the Russian Soviet Republic on 7th November 1917. They have decided to leave the war because it was just harming them and it was not bringing any use to the ordinary Russians. But how would they leave it? Let's find out. Withdraw the army from front lines now!
Sir, what about the peace negotiations with Germans?
No, are you stupid? We'll leave the trenches empty and that will be it. No buts. Germans wouldn't dare to cross it and then we would make peace.
Like you said, sir. Where are the Russians? Why are they not fighting?
I don't know, but let's advance further into their territory and see what would happen.
Sure, I mean in a while we can create a very harsh peace deal so that they have to accept it. Unless if they want to lose all their territory.
Smart. Why isn't my plan working? Why are they advancing?
Sir, calm down. They have sent us a peace deal, but they demand that we give them a lot of land. They want Poland and Lithuania.
That much? We are never, but never gonna allow that. You know what? Ignore them and they will stop. We have a lot of going on now. Everyone's declaring independence from us and we have to fight that.
Alright, sir. They didn't respond.
Keep advancing. Now we can ask for even more things than before.
They are even more advancing.
I can't believe this. We are losing so much land.
I know, and now they have sent us even harsher terms. Now they want Ukraine, Finland, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan and whole Baltic area.
You know what? Give it to them. We don't even need that useless land anyway. Oh, how bad could it be?
You know, lose all of newly independent states, which results in with lose 34% of the former empire's population, 54% of its industrial land, 89% of its coal fields, and 26% of its railroads.
Let's go back to the Western Front. Before the Russian collapse, there were few battles. Battle of Verdun in late 1916 and Battle of Somme in the spring of 1917. In this battle, the Battle of Somme, British have shown for the first time in history of warfare a machine also known as a tank. You can only imagine faces of German soldiers when they had heard these bees groaning with a big gun towards them. Honestly, props to those who actually stay in the fight. What is that?
I don't know, is that death?
I have never expected that to look like that.
Neither did I.
So, by the 1917, USA was more likely to join the war, mainly because they didn't like Germany's tactics which it used. Also, Germany was destroying a lot of US commercial ships which were headed to Britain, which also angered the US. The main reason why the US joined the Entente was because of the Zimmerman telegram. A telegram, what could have possibly been written in it to anger Americans so much? Well, Germany knew that US was getting more cozy with British and French, and they knew that they had to do something. So, the best idea was to send a telegram to ask Mexico if they wanted to invade the US all by themselves. That would have been a good idea, because Mexico had lost a lot of its territory from the US. Mexico was in a literal civil war for quite some time now. I see that Germans were getting desperate, but still, that was really a stupid idea. Not only that, but the telegram didn't even arrive to Mexico. Instead, it was intercepted by the British and they have showed it to the US, which was fuming in rage because of it. In the following days, USA had declared war on Germany and the rest of its allies. Germany knew that they were going to lose, so they decided to try to make France surrender as soon as possible. So what did they do? They started the very last offensive. Germans made attacks all across the front and actually gained a bit of territory. But with those offensives, Germany was getting weaker and weaker, while France and Britain were getting a lot stronger. By the next attempt to push the lines deeper into France, the attack failed and the Allies even managed to push Germans back. Now, with the American boots on the continent, Germany knew that there was nothing to be done. Its allies were pushed on the all fronts in the same time. Bulgaria was the first one to crumble. They were followed by the Ottomans and Austria-Hungary. And finally, on November 11th, 1919, at roughly 11 o'clock, Germany had surrendered to the Allies. It was the end of era. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919 and it was really harsh on Germany. They had to surrender a lot of their territory, reduce the military, and they had to pay the massive debt which was devastating for the new German Republic, also known as the Weimar Republic. This is the place where we will end this video. We hope that nothing bad will happen to Europe, especially in Germany, where tensions were high, and hopefully we wouldn't expect a crazy dictator who would try to make Germany strong again. Right? Guys!